The first time I saw her, the entire galaxy was holding its breath. That wasn't poetic exaggeration. It was literal. The Hall of Convergence aboard the Imperial flagship Celestial Dominion was filled with representatives from 217 conquered worlds. Species of every conceivable form stood in terrified silence, scaled diplomats with jeweled crests, towering arthropods wrapped in silk-like membranes, beings of living crystal refracting cold starlight across the polished obsidian floor. And at the center of it all, seated upon a throne carved from the hull of a collapsed neutron star, was her, Empress Vaelthur, ruler of the Orlith Dominion, conqueror of the Persian Reach, breaker of civilizations, and apparently someone who could blush. At least, I would discover that last part soon enough. I was Lieutenant Adrian Hale, representative of Earth. Humanity had only reached interstellar capability 12 years earlier. We were fast learners, stubborn survivors, and dangerously adaptable. Unfortunately, we were also vastly outgunned. The Dominion's fleets had appeared at the edge of our system, like a wall of living metal. No warning, no demands, just presence. Instead of annihilating us, they issued a summons. One representative, one chance. That's how I found myself standing in a hall designed to make entire species feel insignificant. The Empress was taller than any human woman, nearly 7 feet when she rose. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlit silver. Her elegant, swept-back horns curved from her temples, etched with glowing sigils that pulsed softly with violet light. Her eyes were a deep, luminous indigo, too bright to be natural, too intelligent to be comfortable. A cape of liquid black fabric flowed from her shoulders, moving as if alive. She radiated authority like gravity. When she spoke, her voice carried the layered resonance of something ancient. "Human representative," she said. "Step forward." Every instinct screamed at me to kneel. I didn't. I stepped forward. "Lieutenant Adrian Hale," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Representing the United Earth Coalition." A ripple moved through the chamber. Amusement, perhaps. Or curiosity. "You are young," the Empress observed. "I've been told," I replied. A few alien delegates stiffened at my tone. Humans were not expected to speak casually in the presence of divinity. But that was the thing. We didn't see her as a goddess. We saw her as a problem. Her gaze narrowed slightly, studying me. I felt the weight of it, like being examined under a microscope. "You stand unarmed before the might of the Dominion," she said. "Your species has no fleet capable of challenging mine. No technology that rivals ours. No alliances strong enough to protect you." She leaned forward slightly. "Why should I not claim your world?" It was the question. The one humanity had spent weeks debating. Diplomats wanted treaties. Generals wanted deterrence. Scientists wanted collaboration. I chose honesty. "Because we're interesting," I said. A murmur swept the hall. The Empress's expression did not change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Explain." "We adapt," I continued. "You conquer civilizations that stagnate, that ossify, that reach a plateau. We don't plateau. We fall apart and rebuild stronger. We fight among ourselves and somehow come out smarter. You'd gain more from us as allies than as subjects." Silence. Her fingers tapped once on the armrest of her throne. "You assume I desire allies." "I assume," I said carefully, "that ruling everything gets lonely." Gasps. A crystalline delegate nearly shattered from shock. I had just implied the most powerful being in known space might be lonely. Her eyes locked onto mine. And then something unexpected happened. The corner of her mouth twitched. Not a smile, but close. "You are bold," she said softly. "Occupational hazard." She rose from her throne. The movement was fluid, predatory, magnificent. She descended the steps slowly, each footfall echoing like a heartbeat. When she stopped in front of me, I had to tilt my head up slightly. Her presence was overwhelming. And yet, up close, I noticed something no one else seemed to. A faint shimmer along her cheekbones. Not armor. Not light. Pigmentation. subtle, warmer than the rest of her silver skin. She wasn't as emotionless as she pretended. And that's when my brain betrayed me. I didn't calculate the political implications. I didn't consider the watching galaxy. I just said it. You're gorgeous. The universe stopped. The chamber fell into a silence, so absolute it felt like oxygen had been removed. Her eyes widened, barely. The violet sigils on her horns flared brightly for half a second. And then, color bloomed across her cheeks. Soft. Iridescent. Violet pink. She turned her head slightly away. Irrelevant observation, she said. But her voice had lost a fraction of its imperial resonance. And I realized something monumental. The Empress Veilthur, conqueror of galaxies, had just blushed. Middle. The consequences were immediate. 3 Dominion war captains stepped forward, energy blades igniting with sharp, crystalline hums. Human insolence, one began. Stand down, the Empress said. One word. They froze. Her gaze remained averted for a heartbeat longer before she looked back at me. The faint violet tint still lingered. You attempt manipulation, she said. No. I replied honestly. That wasn't strategy. That was observational. The chamber held its breath again. Her eyes searched mine, looking for deceit, for mockery, for fear. She found none. I wasn't fearless. I was just human. And humans, when terrified enough, sometimes defaulted to audacity. You perceive aesthetic value in my form, she said slowly. Yes. Despite knowing I command fleets capable of erasing your species. Yep. And you experience no revulsion. Nope. A long pause. Something shifted in the atmosphere. Curiosity. Not conquest. Not yet. Walk with me, she said abruptly. Gasps erupted again. She turned and began walking toward a side corridor, her cape trailing like liquid night. After half a second of stunned hesitation, I followed. The door sealed behind us, muting the chamber's collective panic. We walked through corridors of living alloy and translucent walls that revealed swirling nebulae outside. The flagship was less a ship and more a mobile throne world. You understand, she said without looking at me, that no being has ever addressed me in such a manner. Sorry. I did not say I was offended. That made me blink. You weren't. I have been worshipped, feared, obeyed, desired for power. She stopped at a panoramic viewport overlooking a spiral galaxy, but never admired without agenda. I studied her reflection in the glass. You think I had an agenda? You are a representative of your species. Yeah, I admitted. But sometimes a compliment is just a compliment. Her horns dimmed slightly. That is inefficient. Maybe, I said. But it's honest. She turned to face me fully. Humans are emotionally transparent. Not always. You are. Fair. She studied me again, closer now, as if recalibrating everything she thought she knew about humanity. You risked execution, she said. Worth it. For survival of your world? I hesitated. For telling the truth. Something in her posture shifted. Not dominance. Not vulnerability. Recognition. You fascinate me, she admitted quietly. And you terrify me, I replied. That earned the faintest upward curve of her lips. Good. We stood there, 2 beings from impossibly different civilizations, staring at a galaxy neither of us fully controlled. Why conquest? I asked. She didn't react with anger. Stability, she said. Chaos consumes developing civilizations. War. Famine. Extinction-level errors. The Dominion brings order. By force. Force ensures compliance. And compliance ensures resentment. She tilted her head slightly. Your species resists hierarchy. We've tried kings, dictators, empires. We tend to outgrow them. You assume you would outgrow me? Eventually. There it was again. That flicker in her eyes. Not rage. Interest. You truly believe your species could challenge the Dominion? Not today, I said. But someday? Maybe. Silence stretched between us. You do not cower before inevitability, she murmured. We've made a habit of surviving things that were supposed to wipe us out. Her gaze softened, just a fraction. Your compliment, she said after a moment. It triggered a physiological response. I noticed. She narrowed her eyes slightly. You were not meant to. Hard to miss. The faint violet tint deepened again. Your species is perceptive. When it counts. She turned away abruptly, clasping her hands behind her back. In 3 cycles, the Dominion Council will vote on Earth status. Conquest or alliance? Yes. And your vote? She was quiet for a long time. I do not know. That answer hit harder than I expected. You're the Empress, I said. I am first among equals. My will guides. It does not dictate. Then guide them. On what basis? That I find a human diplomat aesthetically pleasing. I shrugged lightly. Could start there. She actually exhaled sharply, a sound almost like a laugh. You are dangerously disarming. Been told that. She stepped closer again. Too close. You realize, she said softly, that if I spare your world, it will not be because of weakness. I wouldn't want it to be. It would be because I choose differently. Then choose differently. Her eyes searched mine again. For fear. For submission. For calculation. And once again, she found none. Only sincerity. And perhaps something else. Respect. Not for her power. For her. The sigils on her horns pulsed slowly, thoughtfully. You see me, she said quietly. Yeah. Not as a weapon. Not as divinity. As a person. The word lingered between us. Person. The most powerful being in known space, and she had never been treated as simply that. I require time, she said finally. I'll be around. She turned toward the exit. Human. Yeah. You are aesthetically striking as well. That one caught me off guard. Thanks. Her gaze flickered briefly over me. Quick, appraising. Then she turned away. But not before I noticed the faintest shimmer of violet across her cheeks again. The vote. The Dominion Council chamber was smaller, but far more dangerous. This was where decisions that ended civilizations were made. War captains, high scholars, genetic architects, beings who had shaped the fate of galaxies. I stood alone at the center platform. The Empress sat at the apex. Her expression was once again regal, unreadable. The matter before us, announced a towering insectoid admiral, is the classification of Earth. Recommendation: preemptive subjugation before technological acceleration renders them unpredictable. Murmurs of agreement. A crystalline matriarch countered. Their adaptability suggests value in assimilation rather than eradication. A third voice growled. Humans are emotionally volatile. Unstable. I kept my face neutral. The debate continued for hours. Humans were analyzed like a specimen. Our wars. Our art. Our capacity for cruelty. Our capacity for compassion. Finally, all eyes turned to her. Empress Veilthur rose. Silence fell instantly. I have studied the humans, she began. They are chaotic, defiant, unpredictable. Not a promising start. They are also resilient beyond statistical probability. Creative beyond logical expectation. They innovate under pressure and unite under threat. She stepped down from her platform. They are not a species that bends easily. A war captain hissed. Then break them early. Her eyes flashed. You misunderstand. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. To break such a species would be inefficient. She walked slowly around the circle. They would resist endlessly, adapt rapidly, infect our culture with their defiance. That sounded bad. And that, she said softly, is precisely why they must not be conquered. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. She raised one hand. Silence returned. The Dominion grows stagnant. Predictable. We have ruled too long without challenge. Humanity presents not a threat, but a catalyst. She looked directly at me. They see individuals where others see power. They speak truth without calculation. A few counselors shifted uncomfortably. They remind us, she continued, that strength is not diminished by vulnerability. My chest tightened slightly. Earth will not be conquered, she declared. They will be offered alliance. Protests began immediately. She silenced them with a single flare of energy from her horns. This is my guidance. One by one, reluctant but bound by Dominion law, the counselors signaled agreement. It was done. Earth was spared. The lengthy ending. After the vote, the galaxy did not change overnight. Empires rarely pivot quickly. But something subtle shifted in the Dominion. And in her. The formal alliance signing took place 3 cycles later. This time, the Hall of Convergence felt different. Less oppressive. Still grand. Still intimidating. But not suffocating. I stood beside her as equals. Well, almost equals. The treaty was signed. Trade routes established. Cultural exchanges approved. Human scientists gained access to Dominion archives. Dominion scholars began studying human psychology with intense fascination. But the real change happened in quieter moments. She began requesting my presence more frequently. Strategic discussions, she claimed. Cultural consultation. I suspected she simply enjoyed conversation that wasn't filtered through fear. One evening, aboard a quiet observation deck overlooking a newborn star system, she spoke without preamble. Before you, she said, no one had ever addressed my appearance. Hard to believe. It is not strategic. Neither is stargazing, I said, nodding toward the forming stars. She considered that. True. Silence settled comfortably between us. A comfortable silence. I have ruled for 3 centuries, she said softly. I have commanded fleets into supernovae, negotiated with hive minds, crushed rebellions before they formed. She looked at her reflection in the viewport. But I had forgotten what it was to be seen. I leaned against the railing beside her. You carry a lot. It is necessary. Doesn't mean you have to carry it alone. She studied me carefully. Humans form pair bonds rapidly. We form connections rapidly. Is that what this is? I met her gaze steadily. Yeah. Her horns glowed faintly. You are fragile, she said. Physically? Yeah. And yet you speak to me without fear. I'm terrified, I admitted. That surprised her. You do not display it. Doesn't mean it's not there. She stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel the faint warmth radiating from her skin. You fear me. Yeah. And yet you remain. Yeah. Why? Because you're more than your throne. Because you're lonely. Because beneath all that power, you blush when someone calls you gorgeous. Instead, I said simply, because I like you. The honesty hung there. Raw. Uncalculated. Her breathing shifted slightly. A subtle change, but noticeable. You are aware, she said carefully, that a bond between us would alter political equilibrium. Probably. You are aware it would be scrutinized. Definitely. You are aware it could destabilize factions within the Dominion. I smiled faintly. Humans are kind of good at destabilizing old systems. That earned another almost laugh. She looked away briefly. And there it was again. That soft violet bloom across her cheeks. I do not fully understand this sensation, she admitted. Which one? When you look at me as you are now. How am I looking at you? As though I am not inevitable. I softened my expression slightly. You're not inevitable. I command the largest fleet in known space. Still not inevitable. She searched my face. And if I fall, she asked quietly. Then you fall, I said. And you get back up. Or you don't. But you're not some untouchable cosmic constant. You're you. Her horns dimmed slightly. The Imperial aura receded. Just a little. I have never been allowed to be me, she whispered. Then start. The newborn stars outside flared brightly as fusion ignited fully. Light flooded the deck. She reached out slowly, carefully, as if uncertain of the physics. Her hand, long-fingered, silver, warm, brushed mine. I didn't flinch. She watched closely. You do not recoil, she observed. Still gorgeous. The blush returned instantly. Stronger this time. She looked away, but did not withdraw her hand. The Empress of the Orlith Dominion, blushing, because a human told her she was beautiful.
And meant it.
I choose differently, she said softly. It wasn't about the treaty anymore. It wasn't about Earth. It was about her. Choosing to be more than conquest. Choosing to be seen. Choosing connection over inevitability. The Dominion did not collapse. It evolved. Under her guidance, expansion slowed. Collaboration increased. Species once subjugated were gradually integrated with autonomy rather than dominance. Humans, predictably, caused cultural chaos in the best way possible. Music spread across imperial courts. Art exhibitions replaced victory parades. Debate replaced decree. And at the center of it all stood an empress who no longer pretended she was carved from cold inevitability. She still commanded fleets. She was still terrifying when necessary. But she also learned to laugh. Quietly at first. Then freely. Sometimes, late in the observation decks, she would ask me to repeat it. The human phrase. Which one? The initial one. I'd grin. You're gorgeous. Every time. Every single time. That faint violet shimmer would bloom across her cheeks. The galaxy might have frozen in silence the first time I said it. But in the end, it wasn't silence that changed everything. It was honesty. And the simple, reckless, very human decision. To tell the most powerful being in the universe that she was beautiful. And mean it.